Sunday after the film awarded several guys. We give out helmet stickers for certain accomplishments for anywhere from 100-yard games to the guys that made it block to touchdowns to two-point conversions to kicks to field goals to a lot of different things. But what we do try to take a lot of pride in, guys get certain awards for MVP. So offensive MVP went to Brandon Allen, who in my opinion probably played one of the most complete games of his career. Just really stood tall, got banged up, did a lot of really good things, managed the game well, played his best in the fourth quarter and overtime. Was absolutely awesome to see him smiling. And then a guy that came off the bench and probably, everybody wants to point to different reasons why you win the game with a call here or there, a break here or there. If Cody Walker doesn't play in that game, I don't know if we win. He just came in and had fresh legs. He's powerful. He's locked into the game, and just an incredible effort by him down the stretch and perseverance. Defensive MVP went to our two safeties, Rohan Gaines and Josh Lydell. Two ends of the spectrum. Rohan's probably playing as good a football as I've seen him play in his career here. Really locked into the details of what we're asking him to do. Great job of communicating in the back end. Very, very responsible. And then Josh, obviously got documented a little bit on Saturday, but to bounce back and play the way he did, and at the end of the game to make that play, the burst, the knowledge, the pre-snap awareness, just shows exactly where he is and the coaching that he's taking. Special teams MVP went to both our kickers. A lot had been said about both their kicker and punter. Their punter really, we expected him to do things a little different. He didn't hit the ball very well, but our guy, Toby Baker, was off the charts. And then Cole, we don't get to those overtimes if we don't have an exceptional day in the PAT department with the snap, the catch, and the hole. So. Some scouts. Defense scout was Matt Reynolds. Offensive scout Troy Allison, who's actually a quarterback, played wideout for us, and then special teams Tyler Phillips, and then also today the SEC named Dre Greenlaw the freshman of the week with his performance. And the good news was he got a lot of tackles, but he can play a lot better. He's just a guy that if I had one or two more linebackers, I think we'd actually be playing better just because he's getting worn so thin. He's back there as a kickoff returner as well because he does a great job back there. He's on kickoff coverage, so we need to just continue to build depth to help our program overall. A couple things injury-wise. We sat down with Jared Cornelius yesterday and his mom, and he's full ghost, full speed ahead this week. As long as we don't have any setbacks during the course of this week, he should play on Saturday. A little bit ahead of schedule, but one of the medical people feel great about. He's healed up very, very fast and very, very efficient. So he'll be with us. He's actually kind of been out there a little bit the last 2 weeks, but not involved in practice situations. So that should be a huge benefit for us to give us back another experienced wide receiver. Really, the only significant injury out of Saturday was obviously Rawleigh. Just an update there. He did get discharged from the hospital today. I talked to his dad about 7 a.m. this morning. Everybody was very upbeat. Rawleigh had just gotten out of the shower, had learned to put the neck brace that he'll be in for a while. He'd put it on and take it off himself. So a lot of things that are going to be updated very, very often, I think, over the next couple of months. Unfortunately, this is a season-ending injury that will cause him to miss the rest of this year. And we'll just kind of, I hope you guys understand, we don't want to get ahead of the horse, and so to speak, to give you any more information until we kind of know as it comes, because it's a pretty fluid situation. But the prognosis, everything since Saturday, my hat goes off. I had a moment down there for me, just because you see a kid's eyes, and his eyes were not good. You could tell it was different. So the people that handled that situation, for that 20 minutes, you took a situation that could have been significantly worse than it was to a kid that maybe actually will be able to play again someday, let alone do all the things that he's going to be able to do. So hats off to them and all the people involved, and we'll see where that one goes. But it'll be a work in progress over the next couple months. But he's upbeat. Everybody's really, really excited. So other than that, everybody kind of came out of it. Cody handled it good. His cast held up and obviously played very, very well. A couple guys got banged up. I know that B.A. had a significant bruise on his leg, but he should be good to go by tomorrow's practice. And interesting, I got concerned because he kind of got kicked over there on the sidelines, and it's probably a rule that we'll need to look at. But you can't trip anybody on the football field except for the ball carrier. Little did I know that rule. You can actually trip a ball carrier with your leg, and so a totally legal play. But it was obviously pretty sore for him, and then he kind of bounced back and played really well the rest of that overtime. So hats off to him, and I think that's about it really from an injury standpoint. Hunter just kind of had a stinger in the shoulder. No issues there. He was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on Sunday. Shouldn't have any complications moving forward with him. And Alex really was just the toes bothering him a little bit there, and I think going to Cody in the fourth quarter is exactly what we could ask for. I mean, we always thought that he would be a guy that could really do something, especially in that second half. Just his physicality, his speed, his durability really showed up. I pointed out to the team yesterday, and I'll open up for questions in a minute, but I was just so proud of some guys there. There was a 4th and 2 call, and we're going to run the flip play to Cody, and obviously that's been Alex's play, but there's 2 defenders. We had Drew over there to take care of one, but there was only one guy there with 2 guys that could easily go tackle Cody. And here, the smallest guy on that side of the field is Drew Morgan, and he not only takes his DB that's covering him, but he also blocks a linebacker about twice his size, and Cody just walks in the end zone. I mean, it was a great effort by Cody, but Drew Morgan was just unbelievable. And then we go around down to the other end of the field, and he catches the very next play and turns it into a 25-yard touchdown just off of pure desire. I thought was a great indicator. And then to have our offensive coaches go right away to Cody Walker in the flat with a cast in his hand and believe in them was awesome. And then you look at that, nothing surprised us offensively because that's how Cody and Drew play every day. And then you look at the last couple plays defensively, and you see Jared Collins break up a pass that he does every day out there in practice. He's at his biggest when it's at its biggest. And then to have Josh Lydell play the way he did on the last play of the game, because the receiver kind of broke away from DJ, who was in man coverage, and he saw the route. He saw indicators before the snap, and at the point where everybody's played a lot of snaps and everybody's really, really tired, he played as fast as anybody on the football field. And I think that speaks volumes, especially that 2 of the kids are here from Arkansas that bleed Arkansas blood red, and have them win a game like that's pretty cool.
You talked a lot about the depth at running back. How happy are you now? And then is there any concern about Alex and maybe wearing down with all the carries he's had?
Well, not really, because Alex for 2 weeks pretty much had nothing. We didn't do anything to him. He probably practiced maybe 15 snaps. Part of the reason I think that he struggled a little bit was because we hadn't practiced him, and I voiced that concern to him. He was not efficient at where he needed to be the last 48 hours leading up to the game, and that's when Alex doesn't perform well. And I was very adamant about that. We assign guys roommates, because we want a responsible guy with a guy that maybe can not be as responsible as we want. And him and his roommate were both late for breakfast on Saturday morning, and because they switched rooms, and we'll make sure we take care of that moving forward. Just a lot of little things that can easily get cleaned up.
As far as the depth overall, running, how happy?
Well, you got Alex, you got Cody. Now you're going to have obviously not to have Rawleigh coming in there, but Denzel. But the other thing is Jay Day. We had worked him really hard during the bye week, and is that next man in, and he's going to get put right into the mix of it this week. So it should be fun to watch.
Defensive procedure. What do they need to do for Rawleigh? And
that goes beyond me.
Play? I mean, they had.
Yeah, I was kind of, the first thing was just that he's going to be, when you have one of your players tell you can't feel his fingers, it's pretty freaky. And like I said, his eyes got me. It was like the perfect moment. I look up, I saw his mom just like looking at me, and it was just like, it's one of those moments where it wasn't anything more than just what was going on right there. And then the people that are involved there, we took him to the private hospital, the physician's physical, I can't think of the name of it, but from the lady that came out and put the cart down, and she started barking out orders, and I kind of cleared away. And they put the helmet, take it off, and they're strapping him down, and he was trying to kick a little bit. I was at his feet, and I put my hands on his feet because they kept telling him to stop moving. And then it just kind of grew from there, and people took over, and just every balance and move that they did, and in retrospect, finding out how serious it could have been if it would have been something gone the other way. Just as simple as how much of a blessing it was to be on our sideline versus their side. Not that but our guys jumped in right away. I think they saw how serious it was, whereas over there someone maybe tried to have moved him or something, you know, and just how critical it was. I don't want to overspeak what I know, so I'll let Rawleigh, you know, he probably will come in here and talk, I'm assuming sometime shortly, and let it come straight from his mouth.
Are you confident though that he'll be able to play again?
I know this. Every report says that he's probably going to be able to play again. You know, it won't be till next year. They talked about someone made reference to me that thought he might be able to do something in the spring. But when you're talking about the severity and the injury that it is, you know, there's a lot of time between now and then to figure out what he wants to do and what his family wants to do.
You ever see anything like that before?
Never.
One of your players? No.
No, that's why it got me. I always go out and check on my players just because. My coach did it. I learned it from Hayden Fry, and I remember my mom and dad talking about it. And during recruiting, a lot of times, parents, I don't do it for that, but the only reason I do it is because I want to know how bad it is and what needs to happen. And that one was unique because it was right there on the sidelines. But I'll forever remember. I looked at his eyes, and he kept saying certain things he couldn't feel, and they were moving, and I was like, just like one of those divine moments where you just start praying and hoping for the best.
Can you say though whether it's some sort of fracture, nerve damage?
Probably not. Probably shouldn't. I mean, it's with the neck, obviously, and all that goes into it. But you know, the surgery is way beyond what I can describe.
Coach, another player that's been out is Brandon Lewis. I just wanted to
B-Lou. Yeah, B-Lou. You know, the main thing that's holding him back is, you know, he had the microfracture surgery that is a pretty evolved long-term process. We tried to get him more involved 2 weeks before the bye week. He got involved a little bit, but kind of regressed, so we backed off. He's getting in more and more. We had a conversation during our bye week, and I gave him the option of, you know, starting to think about some things beyond football, but he wants to give it a go all the way through the rest of this year. So we kind of made a decision that we would keep going full speed ahead, and then in December we'll sit down and talk about it.
Does the injury to Rawleigh maybe change in recruiting? Maybe took one more running back than you planned to?
Well, I see where you're coming from. I've never really signed more than one running back in each class. But this year, with the projection of Jay Will and Alex both being two of the top 4 backs taken in the draft, we had decided to go to 2 running backs in this year's recruiting class. I don't think that's going to waver on this end at all. So we'll for sure take 2. I don't think I'd go to 3 just because of the depth that we got here already, especially with Cody coming back for a 6th.
Do you feel like mixing in Cody and Dominic Ree a little bit threw off their coverage, especially in the fourth quarter and overtime?
Do I what?
Feel like mixing Cody in, you feel like that threw off their coverage a little bit, especially towards the end of the game?
I think Auburn knew what they were doing, regardless of who was in there. Cody, I think when he got in there, it didn't help. Would have helped us more than anything is the running game. I mean, I get it because he caught a pass at the end, but that was kind of a design play that was really put in for another running back. So he just had the benefit of getting there in the right spot at the end. But if you remember that first play of overtime, when he kind of took it off the left side there and he just was kind of dragging people with him, the definition of what I want to be on offense took place in the fourth quarter and in overtime. You literally saw our guys moving forward every play with them guys dragging down from behind, and I think that is the definition of what I've seen. That happen so many times in my career where it really shows up that the physical presence of what we want to be can be felt in the fourth quarter and then on beyond. Do you want to ask about Josh?
Yeah, Josh Williams.
Yeah.
Are you expecting him next year?
Do we expect him back next year? Yeah, he's you know, he had a pretty significant injury. He broke his tibia. You know, we've set a record for broken bones in this thing, and the part that he has experienced since that point is just getting that thing to be drained the right way. There was some muscle issues around it as well, in addition to just breaking the bone that affected the muscles in his lower leg, and that recovery is going to be long and extensive. I sat down and talked to him because I want his recovery to be great. I just worried, he's such a great student. I worried about him tackling too much. He had 15 hours work of all A's and B's, and we were going to try and get him out of some of that just to try and lighten his load a little bit, but he didn't want to have typical Josh. He didn't want to have anything to do with that, so he's full speed ahead, and I would expect him to be back with us in the fall as if everything keeps moving in the right direction.
It felt like in the first half that you guys were close to putting the game away. And I kind of got two questions. One is, can you comment on that? And then the second part is, the way you ended up winning the game might end up being more beneficial for you.
Yeah, I get the point. I think, you know, we scored pretty easily out of the gate. We knew that we were going to be able to run the football. I thought we threw the ball extremely well, too, especially to Hunter. You know, wanted to really get him going a little bit, and that jumped out right away. I thought Dan did some really nice things, getting him involved. The reverses with Dominique, you know, I think were really a big part of the game, or at least early success. We're in control. You know, we're up 2 touchdowns, and I came into the huddle on offense, and I said, listen, the only way this thing becomes a contest is if we want to give them a freebie, if we want to give them a free possession, as in a turnover. And then I was more or less talking about the running the ball. You know, not BA had been so good, but BA got hit right at the last on that first interception. Defensively, we go out there on a turnover. We didn't handle transition very, very well. We had a 4th and 2 that we have a pretty good call, in my opinion, made, but we have a defensive end that comes underneath and sets an edge loose right where the quarterback came out to the backside, which ended up being a big play. And we talked defensively about being 100% with our eye discipline, because if you're not right with your eyes on defense, you're going to give up big plays, and that's what happened there and a couple other times during the course of the game. So that's when they came back. I tell you, we had a blessing. Hunter, right before the end of the half, you remember, Alex put the ball on the ground right before the half, and Hunter recovered it. Otherwise, that would have been their ball in easy scoring range. So that kind of got us on edge. And then the way the third quarter played out, it got to be a game again. And then, you know, I thought the game was going to be over when I thought we hit the ball, you know, and they ruled it a fumble. We recovered it. I thought it was going to be done right there. They flipped it back and obviously overturned it on replay. And then, you know, you feel good about the situation, not having any timeouts, and then able to get down in the field goal position and to get the score. So now you got to win it all over again. They score. You get a little bit concerned, but our offense responded very, very well. And I think the way our offense and our defense played the last couple series of that game, like you said, could be very, 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 very positive for the future. I mean, they definitely have a nice, confident feeling about what they can do in those situations now.
I got an overtime question.
Yeah.
The book seems to be, if you win the toss, you want to play defense.
The book.
The book. You may have the book. I
don't have the book. You might have the book.
Well, it just
You're talking numbers? Just being on defense and offense?
A lot of coaches
Yeah.
want to go on defense first. And you've done that, I think, in every overtime. But isn't there a value in playing it down on that side of the field where your band and your students are, and it's louder, and maybe putting the pressure on them if you score first?
Well, you don't get to pick both. You know what I'm saying?
You can pick side of the field.
Offense or defense, and then they get to pick where you play.
Oh, okay. So you can't pick side of the field.
So, like for instance, we won the toss. All right, so I said we want to be on defense more. I wanted to be on defense more than I wanted to pick where we're going to play. But you're saying you would rather maybe pick where you want to play when we play defense.
If you say offense, they get to pick the other side of the field?
No, I could pick either one. I could pick where we're playing or what we're doing.
So does it ever cross your mind, let's play on this side of the field?
No, I would say that I'm probably pretty much going to stick to the numbers. I mean, as many people think that I take chances and roll it, I play the numbers a lot. I mean, I believe in the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Now, in the course of the game, I would tell you, you know, so we take defense. They pick the field. That's why we went down on that far end zone. Then we go back out and we play offense. And you know, first. You know, and down in and you could begin to see that the crowd, there's actually people started moving down into that section to make it more and more loud. So when we came back the next time, I said to the guys, I go, hey, we're going offense first. Is everybody good with that? But it was the way that the flip worked out. It wasn't going to be until that next position that I had that choice. Just because I could see the way Cody was running, I could see their body language on defense, and so I would have actually transitioned during the series. It was exactly what you said.
Defense first, just if your defense is tired, or is it just
coming out on offense? First. Yeah. Again, to start the game, I really still believe that you'd want to know the situation if you could. The only thing that got to be in play there was such a dramatic difference in the 2 end zones because of the crowd, and obviously it's a building. You know what I mean? So that part was really significant, and that's why during the middle of the overtimes, I would have switched. So I'm kind of saying yes to your question after a couple series. That's right.
When Brian Early was here, was he telling you at the time, hey?
When Brian Early was here?
Yeah, was he telling you about Dre at that early? And are you just shocked at how good this kid is?
No, I'm not. I didn't know Brian really at all. Brian contacted me. He was, the defense coordinator at Fayetteville High. He came in, and I had obviously talked to a lot of people involved that knew him, and I actually trying to talk him out of taking the job. He was making $75,000 or whatever it was, $80,000 as a defense coordinator, and he was adamant about being a defensive coach and getting into college level and doing all this stuff. I had no idea of Dre Greenlaw. I didn't know the connection, didn't know anything about that whole scenario. So he'd really gotten to know Chris, and Chris was really pushing him to do it. This guy wants to do it. So I said, okay, you can have our quality control job, which I think was $25,000 or $15,000, whatever it was. And then I don't know how it first came up. They're like, well, he has an adopted son. I think Coach Lundy might have brought that to my attention because of the Fayetteville-Bentonville rivalry, and mentioned Dre. I really liked the kid. He showed up to, for game days and stuff like that. I projected him as a linebacker right away. Not trying to sound all that, but that's what I kind of saw him as. Our linebacker coach at the time didn't particularly enjoy that same opinion, so I was kind of dancing the dance there a little bit, trying to respect what was being said. And then going into his senior year, I told Rob about him. But the great thing, he was supposed to come to our camp. I think this whole thing would have been sewn up a lot earlier, but he broke his foot, if you remember, going into a senior spring. So he could not go to summer camp. So then when we were in our first bye week of his senior year, I sent Rob to go watch him. I think they're playing in Fort Smith. And Rob called me midway through the second quarter and said, what are we doing? This kid's everything that we want. And really, since that point, it was just a matter of convincing Dre. Now, I think he graded out right around 70% on Saturday. So you grade out at 70% and you have 16 tackles. You can do the math, how good he can be. Again, I think we got to find ways to help him out a little bit. I think he's playing way, way, way too much for a true freshman. He still had enough energy to throw his helmet 30 feet in the air after the last play of the game. I got him on Wednesday. He was reported for spending more time with the girls' track team than he was on his books. And he tried to claim that wasn't me. And I said, well, you're the only Dre Greenlaw I know, and that's what I see right here. So he's a great kid, great smile. I think he's been able to get away with a lot, just because he's got a great personality, good looks, a little charm. So life's getting a little bit real because you don't get tackles for that in the SEC. And I think he's going to be a phenomenal player.
Coach, you talk a lot about how Coach Enos had a hard time maybe at the beginning because it seemed like his personnel was changing a lot. That happened on Saturday too, but he was able to overcome it. How big is that for him?
Well, I think just, as we all move through life, you get smarter every day if you're a person that matters or cares. And to be quite honest, I think when you come in, I've been a new coach in a program before, and you're just trying to get to know people. You're trying to get to know names. You're trying to get to know what position they play and recognize them with their helmet on and their helmet off. It sounds silly, but it's true. And then all of a sudden, I remember, when this whole thing got rolling in the fall, we hadn't practiced Alex or Jay Will all that much. So Dan's trying to figure out what kind of plays those two can do, and you forget that the whole spring we had with Cody, and he kept saying, man, Cody's going to be great. Cody's going to be great. I agree. You're working with 3 or 4 wide receivers that aren't there anymore. I thought Saturday truly defined how good Dan Enos could be because he really had an answer for every situation. He adapted, he adjusted. I gave my offensive staff kudos on Sunday because as long as I've been in this business, that was the most communication and open dialogue that I ever had with a staff in any variety, especially when you start going into 4 deep overtime about what play you can go to. And Dan, there was no hesitation. He knew exactly where he was going with every one of those calls, which I thought was pretty special.
Brett, I know you guys recruit all over the country, but you got your top 2 tacklers are from Fayetteville High, your starting quarterback, your backup quarterback, your deep snapper. You got some guys red shirt. I mean, just what do you think about having so many guys from a school, literally next to the campus?
It's so truly unique. I say all the time, especially NFL guys start coming in and talking about BA, and they talk about their best juniors, and Fayetteville High has been obviously a huge supplier of good players here. I think they have you could read it in BA's comments. I knew when I went to Brooksy's home and his granddad played here and the emotion that brought in his family. Obviously, we just talked about Dre. You know, Dre, I think, was torn whether he wouldn't want to go join his dad at ASU or come play for the Razorbacks who he'd watched growing up his whole life, you know. And I think when that's heavy to your heart, it's really hard to replace that in big moments. So that's why those kids, I think, it means so much for them to play here. It's huge, though, and I really mean that, not just Fayetteville, but our Arkansas kids, man. I mean, I appreciate what you say because, you know, to see Drew Morgan play the way he's playing, I mean, if you want to watch something, and I don't need to boost Drew's confidence, but I mean, to take out 2 guys on that 4th and 2 for Cody, I mean, that was like unbelievable. And then to make the kid miss and get it in the end zone on the last, that don't just happen, man. And you saw, if you watched the play when he blocked for Cody, he took the corner just high enough so he knew he had him blocked that he couldn't get Cody, and he flipped his hip enough so that the linebacker had to literally run over him, you know, to get to Cody, and he got up and just started going nuts because he knew Cody was in there, and he was so energized by the moment, and that's when Dan said, I'm going to get in the ball right away, and that's when he gave him that, it's a 2-yard out route, you know, that he turns into a touchdown, and I'm sure that, you know, he didn't have a lot of stars in recruiting and all that jazz, but he's got big stars for me.
He had 6 tackles on Saturday. Dwayne Eugene, did he show something? Maybe he can start trying to help a little bit.
He can, and we need to come along. And Dwayne's a very conscientious young man that tends to take things too much. I mean, he gets too wound up in all the specifics. So we got to do a better job of locking him into Sam or Will, and that's kind of what we've talked about, is make sure he knows exactly what he's doing, because his care factor is off the charts. He is absolutely phenomenal in that regards.
Talked about a lot of the offensive calls, but it seemed like a big play was the first defensive play of the 4th overtime. Just talk about the call. It looked like maybe y'all were.
That was 100% Rob Smith. I think the part that, if you're a defense going out on the field, like Tom alluded to, you know right now you have a touchdown in a PAT. I'm sorry, a 2-point that they have to score to win the game. And I think when you stop going from the touchdown and PAT, it goes to a touchdown and a 2-point. It changes your mind mentality-wise, and Rob called a pretty ballsy call on that first down thing, and it stopped him. It'll put him in a 2nd and 9, and then 3 straight pass defenses, and you win the game. So I give Rob a lot of credit. I thought our defensive coaches, now they talk with literal higher pitches, and they throw a couple adjectives that we can't use. They're a lot more demonstrative on defense, but those guys talk a lot, and a lot of good things happen.
What would you call that? Would you run blitz? Or
it was more of a double eagle, kind of an aggressive run fit. They had kind of run it down our throats in the first couple overtimes, and we basically, Dwayne was in a situation where he should have been spilling it. He was boxing it, and our guys were overrunning it a little bit, so they saw that, and they saw an easy way to fix it was to make that call, and that's exactly what he did.
The college times you've been in as a player, coach, I mean, have you ever had the local high school supply this many key guys for you?
No. When I was in Iowa City, we had a guy like Timmy Dwight. Timmy Dwight was a great player, but not the sheer call. Even when I first got here, I was kind of like, 3 guys committed from Fayetteville High, come on, and 2 of the 3 are obviously here. One had a medical, but it was easy when I popped on the film that I was 100% right. I would have offered all 3 of them as well, and then I didn't know Drew. I might have been here a year before I knew Drew Gordon was from Fayetteville. But then to have BA here already doing that stuff. We had another kid that, unfortunately, was a very talented kid. I'm sure you remember him. Was a tight end, fullback. Demetrius was very, very talented. Demetrius Dean just couldn't get the other stuff done. So whatever's going on over there, I hope it keeps going, because it's a nice little pipeline. CJ's been awesome. That's a great point. CJ, if you would have bet on signing day who was going to play, CJ or Dre, everybody probably would have said CJ. But the reason we haven't played CJ is really just because of Hunter and really the development of Jack Krause. Sprinkle's doing good. Jack Krause is playing really good football, asking everything. I put him on a big assignment for me last week on PBR, and he was absolutely off the charts. So fun to watch.
Is it difficult playing a Tennessee Martin this time of year? I mean,
is it difficult playing?
Well, I mean, just off your routine.
I remember just being in that other league. I remember watching things down here, and there would be these late non-conference games, and however they are viewed or however they come about, it's because we play those early SEC games. You know, there's just so many weeks in the season, and I got a lot of respect. UT Martin's got a good quarterback, good running back. We all know, obviously, and you know, all respect, all fear none. You know, we gotta take this week and prepare just like we did last week. I told our guys, you got to handle Sunday just like you did last Sunday, Monday just like you did last Monday, and we'll do a lot of the same things we did last Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week in preparation.
Would Jared play a lot of snaps or just, you know, small Jared Cornelius?
Oh, Jared, you know what? After visiting with his mom yesterday, because she needed to be convinced that her baby was ready to play, so Jared and I and the docs got that situation resolved, and you know, but I told Jared, man, you got to be truthful here now. Nobody can feel that arm but you. So, you know, there's screws, there's plates in there. He's got like a 4-inch plate in there that, because I've got screws in my knees and some stuff too. I said, you know, it's weird having those things in your body because a lot of times when colder weather strikes, you feel them. And he's like, yeah, you know, so you get him understanding what you got to believe in, and then. If he can play unlimited, we'll let him play unlimited. But if he can't do anything, he won't do anything. If he can play 10 snaps, he'll play 10 snaps.
What do you think of your pass rush and pass coverage combo right now?
You know, I thought our guys up front, for the most part, got after that guy pretty good, made him throw out of the well, didn't really give up many yardage and free yardage, you know, like a scramble or anything like that. Secondary, I thought our guys played the ball. There were some plays that got over our head. Don't get me wrong, but you know, the second to last play of the game and the last play itself was a great example of guys stripping the ball in a catchable ball hands. You know, the ball was right there, and they were doing everything they could to rake them out. So I thought that was really pretty good.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.